Everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. I just wanted to show you for U.S. citizens, and pretty well a lot of people should be concerned about this, coming from the U.S. Fed trying to do an analysis on federal government debt. Okay, I'm going to show you something that's kind of scary. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but they're definitely doing it in smoke and mirrors kind of way. Up until 2015, if you do a search here at this URL, categories 5, which is federal government debt, once upon a time, you used to be able to search interest. So what is the U.S. government, or pretty well U.S. citizens, paying on their debt as compared to, let's say, their GDP? Now you see here that it stops July, I think, 2015. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so you could see here it stops right here sometime in 2015. Now, that can get kind of scary because that also factors in things like federal outlays on the interest for that. That's basically government spending total. There's also a net one as well. But here's the interesting part, no pun intended. Interest is no longer being covered going into 2016. So, unless it's defined under a different name and I'm trying to find it, they are definitely not making it easy to find. But you can see here, all I'm finding for interest on this page is all of them stop at 2015. Okay, so the question becomes, why are they doing that? Why? Okay, you're tracking it since 1940, and then all of a sudden you just stop in 2015. Why? Why are they doing that? It doesn't make sense. And then usually with some of the other analysis that I've looked at, what they do is they'll have analysis on a particular data set, but they'll continue the data set with a different name, but it just continues along. So I wonder, you're running this data set for let's say 60 years, and all of a sudden, or even 75 years, and all of a sudden you just stop. It doesn't make sense. So the question becomes, what are the Fed hiding? What don't they want people to know? Because the idea here is to measure liquidity of the U.S. government. Okay, so once upon a time, you used to get liquidity out of this, but all you get is one thing, which is swaps. So if I do a federal, all we get is the liquidity swaps, this one, that's it. That's all we get. Now, I mean, I don't know what to say of it, because they're definitely trying to hide something. I'm just kind of miffed at it because you've been running a data set for over 70 years and you just stop. And then liquidity cannot be calculated on the U.S. government. You cannot calculate the interest being supposedly serviced by the U.S. government on their total debt. So the question is why? Why? I mean, I'm going to be able to chart it in different ways, so hang tight for that as I try to figure it out. But from my point of view, another thing as well is these total federal outlays. Okay, you'll see here, these are government spending. This is the new data set. You can see how volatile it is since 2010, and the question is, that's kind of crazy. What they've done is, if you, again, just as another example, look for federal net outlays, you have this, and again, we stop in September of 2015. It just stops, and then it continues along with that previous one that I just showed you on the total outlay. This one right here, I just showed you. So there's something definitely going on, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to calculate the debt held, or total debt, and measure it against, as a percent against the GDP gross domestic product. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to somehow manipulate the message out there that make it look not as bad as it really is. Because if they're stopping to track certain data sets, that is a sign of, a wall worry. So this becomes now, how do we track it? And I'm still trying to figure it out. But my charts so far are kind of crazy. I'll show you what I mean on this debt, because it was fine up until last year, 2015, but moving into this year, 2016, it just seems that there's just something out there, as they would say, there's something going on in that water you just don't want to be part of and swim in. But there's definitely something going on in the markets that the Federal Reserve is not telling us, and I think it's a lot worse than they want us to believe, and the messaging that they're putting out is purposely done in a way where they try to stay vague. But when you look at the data and they manipulate the data and stop data sets that they track for decades and then bring out new definitions of things, this is a real big deal, because I'll tell you something, when it comes to capitalism, what makes things tick in the world of capitalism is confidence in institutions like the Fed or generally the US government. But here is a classic example of why people will and should lose confidence in the Fed and what they're saying. So, I would take this as an early warning sign. This is proof to me of what the so-called conspiracy theorists say. But this is living proof on why would the Fed go out and change their messaging, change their data sets, because I think the situation, when they do their analysis starting in this year, 2016, it's a hell lot worse than it really is, and they're trying to redefine things, redefine the data sets, redefine the charts that they put out as of this year, 2016, and make it look not as bad and recalculate stuff, but I'm not stupid. And I'm going to try to figure out a way to present this because I think it's just the way it's going right now. It's like you're driving along and you're ready to hit a wall. And the Fed sees that wall, there's going to be a massive collision, and it's like, how do we get around that? And this is really changing my view on things. Hopefully this will help you out too. Talk to you later.